welcome to the Perspectives in STEM podcast, the podcast from Teach STEM Global, where we spotlight the people, the ideas, and stories shaping the future of STEM and STEM education in a movement to bring STEM to every child, everywhere. I'm Dr. Kimberly West, founder and president, and together we're shaping what's possible. You're sure to be inspired by today's guest. Brandon Okpalobi is a former athlete turned global STEM champion who believes every young person, no matter their background, deserves a real path to the future. A proud Nigerian American based in Miami, Brandon founded Dibia DREAM, which has reached more than 45,000 children across 32 states and 12 countries, created Siyanse, it's a unique spelling, y'all, we'll talk about that, to bring STEM into families' homes, and hosted Hands on STEM on Discovery Education, connecting with over 600,000 young people. He is a Forbes Next 1000 honoree and a Black Enterprise Modern Man. Lastly, I had the chance to connect with Brandon when he came to Atlanta for a STEM program presented by Dibia DREAM, and his passion for this work, trust me, y'all, is real. In person, it's real, right? I mean, the look on the children's faces, wow. Brandon, welcome. I'm excited to speak with you today.
Thank you for having me. And also thank you for coming to STEM Saturday in Atlanta. That was a beautiful experience. And so we're excited for all the work that we're about to do in Atlanta as well.
Yeah. So, and look, call me up. If I can be there, I will definitely be there to support because I enjoy working with the students and seeing their faces light up with just that new knowledge and that experience is something to behold for real. So, all right, so let's jump right in. So, to get things started, let people know who you are. Tell us about your journey from New Orleans to becoming a nationally recognized STEM leader and entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm doing a talk too soon about that. And so I was just a misunderstood kid, right? And I think I was blessed to go to a certain school in the French Quarter where they didn't teach the way everyone else did. And they allowed art, they really focused on science. And a lot of the things that saved me as a kid allowed me not to be in certain situations. When I started Dibia Athletic, which is where we train students in sports and do camps and clinics, we were Scholarship Kids to our program. And those are the kids we wanted to focus on for Dibia Dream. And so I looked at the things that saved me and said, okay, if these things saved me, arts, mentorship, sports, STEM, if we put that into a program, maybe we could save other kids. And with that small thought, some people who believed in the dream early, we were able to really get a lot of momentum within the first year and second year. And then sometimes I have these they're not crazy, they're God ideas. When I say them to people, they're like, how are you going to do that? And I'm like, I don't really know, but it's going to get done. And so we just kept coming with more God ideas, but putting them into practice, and they worked. And so just blessed to be able to work with the amount of kids that we've worked with, our partners, and just really look at different ways to how do we expose kids to STEM early, but how do we make it cool? How is it fun? How do we take STEM to stadiums, not just keep STEM and what people like to put science in a boring box, like take it out of that boring box. Everything is science and make sure everything is fun. And so we've just been honestly blessed to be able to do that and for people to say, yes, go ahead and make it happen for the kids.
I love that, the STEM making it fun. And I love that you have this unique background. You have a very diverse background in that. And
Right.
so in that you come from the athletic world also.
Yeah.
And so as a former athlete, are there any lessons that you have learned from sports that influence your leadership and how you approach them?
Sure, definitely the discipline aspect. Being disciplined can go across many aspects of your life, right? And so being disciplined, but then also understand there's trial and effort, right? Like when you're in the science lab and you do something once, it's not going to work. You got to keep trying. And that's the same with sports, right? If you're learning how to do a layup, you're not going to get it on the first try. So you got to keep trying. That competitive spirit of, hey, I want to have the coolest STEM projects for the kids, right? And so that comes from wanting to be the best basketball player that I could possibly be and compete at the highest level that I could compete at. And so I think that discipline, competitiveness, but then also teamwork, because this is not Dibia DREAM doesn't operate by itself. A lot of people sometimes say, "Oh, Brandon, you're doing all of this," and I correct them and say, like, there's a team. The Dream Team is doing all of this work, right? We come to the table as 30 people who truly believe that we can change how STEM is experienced with kids globally, not just in Miami or in New Orleans or locally. Like we are expanding globally to make sure that kids have that opportunity. And so those are the things that I've learned from sports that has allowed me to transition to be a better leader, but then also really understanding one thing in sports is that sometimes a coach will be yelling at the player who's doing all the right things, but knows that that player can take it, but really be talking to someone else. And I don't do that, but what I do is
Yeah.
I change my tone with the person I need to talk to, right? Like I'm not going to tell
Mm.
this person over here who's doing everything great that they're doing it wrong. No,
Right.
I need to
Right.
tell them that they're doing great. If there's a weakness, sure, but then this person who's not, we have to communicate better. And so I've learned to really adjust some of my tone because I had a lot of old school coaches. So,
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
I get that. I
right,
totally get that. And I think as listening to you, the one thing I can appreciate is what you said about discipline, because being in the classroom, working with students, sometimes they don't understand that in science you have to do something more than one time. You have to replicate
true,
it, you have to be focused. And
right,
so helping them to understand that you got to be patient, you got to be disciplined, you got to be, understand that there's a method to the madness, as I call them,
yes,
as I tell them, and you have to follow that sometimes, right?
right,
And so I think those are some good characteristics and traits that you brought over from sports that are definitely needed in STEM and definitely needed in the classroom, working with students and helping them
right,
to understand. Because students, I mean, they just sometimes like to just be one and done. Whoop, that experiment's over. No,
yeah,
there's something to be learned here. Like I tell
yeah,
them, I said that's the reason why everybody does the science fair project. How many chews does it take to get, for the bubble gum to lose its flavor? I'm like that can
right,
be so
right.
those type of things. And so, thinking about your background, your experience, was there a defining moment when you just said, this STEM thing, this STEM education, it's just going to be my life's work. And it's just going to be what I choose to wake up and do every day in this desire to bring STEM to the world and to students.
I don't know if there's a defining moment. I just know that I'll go for runs on the beach, right? And
Mm,
I think that's the time that I can clearly talk to God and get some really mind-blowing ideas. And
mm,
I think that the defining moment is those moments where it's like, hey, you have to do this because more kids need this opportunity because if your program doesn't impact them, how will they be exposed to this? For instance, in
mm,
Miami, we did Rockets at the Miami Heat Arena, right? That's right down the street from Overtown. But a lot of people from Overtown have never been to the arena. A lot of the kids we engage have never been to the arena, right? And so it's like you have to keep doing the things at this level to really
mm,
ensure that the kids can have this opportunity, right? Like for me, I made all my opportunities as a kid. I took all the cleaning supplies from my house, dug a hole in the backyard, and then that was my first time doing chemical reactions. I didn't know that. I just was hoping that I didn't burn
right,
anything down. But I did that on my own. Instead of getting toys, my parents were like, hey, we're going to buy you books. And I was like, oh, you're going to buy me books? Well, then you're going to buy me the biggest books. And the biggest books were always science books. And so I would
right,
write book reports to myself, and that took me mentally to different places that kids today they're using devices for what is being put in front of them, not to take them to another place safely,
right,
right? Like I
right,
was able to go to
right,
the highest atmosphere in a science book. I was able to go to the deepest parts of the ocean in a science book. I was able to do art, and then it was going into an art show and have it be sold out, but that was all in the second grade, right? And so this was
right.
all things that kind of happened that that was very important for me. So I felt like, hey, if we can do that for kids, if we can provide safe pathways within science, but that's really, really cool, then we can create that change that we all talk about. But if we don't do it in a manner where we're reaching them and in a manner that is, hey, instead of you going to the F1 race, you're going to get to meet
Mhm,
Lewis Hamilton, and you're going to get to be a grid kid, you're going to get to build a solar car in an F1 garage. All of that is like, wow. And so you can't deny that as a kid, right? You can't say, no, I
Right.
don't want to go and see a bunch of race cars, or I don't want to go and meet Lewis Hamilton. That's insane. And
Yeah.
so you really have to like put it into some of those things and then say, okay, I said I'm going to do this, or God told me I could do this. I said I'm going to do it. Now I have to do it. So my defining moments are consistent, right? It's like, oh, okay, you
Hmm.
did STEM at the Miami Heat Arena, and you said you want to
Yeah.
do STEM at Hard Rock Stadium. Oh, well, you did that. Now you want to do STEM in the Sphere. If anybody's listening, I want to do a huge STEM activation in the Sphere in Vegas. I'm going to need your help.
Yes. Listen, I want to come. I want to see the Sphere in person. So please count me in. I'm so inspired listening to you talk about, you running on the beach. First of all, I'm also jealous. We have no beach here. 4 hours away in Savannah.
Right,
But I'm thinking that's pretty cool. But I'm so inspired by you saying you listening to God and Him giving you these kind of nuggets or these deposits as
right,
to things. And I know the saying, with God, all things are possible, right?
right.
And so thinking about that, are there any challenges that you've experienced? Anything that maybe made you take a step back and go, "Ooh, what type of challenges did you face? Um, and what did you learn from those experiences to prepare you for what you're doing today?"
Yeah, I don't think, at the time I thought they were challenges. Just
Mhm.
kind of how you mentioned, like, hey, you don't have a beach, but I think that you have a lot of nature, right?
Yeah,
Like you have a lot of paths that are very great for like listening, right?
yeah.
Sometimes you can walk with your iPad, but then take your iPad or your AirPods out and just listen to nature. That's when a lot comes. But I think that everything that was meant for a challenge was just like a step up or a step, I would say not even a step up, a step out of my comfort zone. When we started Dibia Dream, Dibia Athletic had done so well that people knew who we were, and big corporations wanted to sponsor some of the stuff that we did, but we were for profit. So they wanted to
Hmm.
do it under a nonprofit. And when we would use fiscal agents, it just didn't work. So then when I started the nonprofit, we applied for all these grants, went back to those same people, and everybody was like, well, this is your first month or first 3 months or whatever. We're not going to fund you until so and so and so and so. And
Yeah.
so I just said, hey, I'm going to take half of the money from my for profit and put in my nonprofit. At that time, I did it because I wanted to do it now. I didn't
Right.
realize that me giving my own money, I could do whatever I want
Hmm.
versus having like restricted dollars and things like that. And that allowed us to really do some things experimental early that we wouldn't have been able to do with other funding. So it wasn't a challenge. At the time, definitely thought it was a challenge, but it was more of a blessing. And then also too, looking at some of the partnerships that kind of go away. You're like a challenge. It's a challenge dealing with this partner, and so once they step away or move on, you realize like this was just a setup for something better because the next day, a partner calls that, hey, we want STEM and we want you to do it however you do it, and we have this amount of money, and then here, go be great, right? Versus all of the rigidness you had with someone else. And so I think that there have been some things that looked like challenges. They were really, I would say, step outs or blessings in disguises where we can now say, okay, this is what we really wanted to do. We wanted to be with this partner versus that partner. And it also taught us too, especially as I talk about partners, how to navigate, okay, someone brings something to
Yeah.
you, you don't have to take it, right? Like, hey, if this doesn't align with us, it doesn't. Or if this is the cost, you don't want to pay that cost, then we could do something within your budget or we can not. So it's been very interesting to see, but then also too like a real blessing.
Yeah. I think listening to you, I think that's too what comes with the wisdom of life, right? The
Hmm.
things that we think about our challenges at the time, when
Right.
you get past them, you go, "Oh, okay, there was a lesson in that." Or it's like I was having a conversation with someone. I was having a conversation, and she was worried about her a mom, and she's not doing the right things by her kids. And I told her, I said, "Honey, I'm past that stage." I said, "I'm going to tell you all those things you thought." were going to be devastating, they're not. So I think that's just something that comes from learning those lessons and that wisdom. And I'm just feeling so motivated speaking with you.
Good.
Before we get into the you telling us a little bit more about Dibia Dream and your other Dibia Athletic and Science. Um, I think I want you to delve a little bit into this, because sometimes people don't understand the investments that we want to make into students.
Mm,
They don't see the value in that. And
mm.
so, I just want you to speak to why it's so critical to expose students to STEM at an early age.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is that children are born curious. They're born with a
Mhm.
spark. And the bad thing that adults do is we extinguish that spark
Yeah.
um, with the wrong environments, wrong schools, wrong messages that we send them. A lot of kids, we tell a lot of kids, i.e., they told me to, sit down and shut up. And I was born to stand up and figure things out, right?
Yeah.
And I needed that right environment to do that. And so it's very important to expose kids early, because even there's studies about it's either 3,000 or 30,000 word gap that if you don't talk to kids
Hmm.
and have them with words early. And so we want to give them exposure early to have them understand that everything that they do is science, right? That iPad that you
Right.
gave them to distract them, that is all science, technology, engineering, and math, or
Yep.
arts, A for arts. And having them understand that everything that they do is science will change how they operate, right? Like many times people will say, like, people in certain communities push sports, right? But
Yeah.
people don't push the scientific aspect of that sport, right? So now you see NBA teams like the Golden State Warriors, they'll have analytics. Hey, if Steph and the team hits a certain amount of threes, we're going to win a certain amount of games. That's going to make us win a championship. That's all
Wow.
STEM, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you look at how your body works, your body is all science. And so we've just not given science the right way, right? Like the science didn't fail us, the
Right.
experience did. And so that experience, we have to change it. And so that's what
Right.
we've done at Dibia Dream by providing, STEM experiences in stadiums or STEM experiences that you came to in Atlanta or some that we do in Memphis with the Memphis Grizzlies, right? Like these are cool
Hmm.
activations versus you sitting down, memorizing a periodic table, taking a test, and never blowing anything up, right? Like, why did I
Right.
learn about all these chemicals and all these elements and things that I can do, and then write it down and then forget about it? And so it's important to have passion with it. I think one thing, many times when I used to talk before about anything, I'm a very calm individual, so I'll just be like, yeah, and okay, and you just, but the last
Yeah.
couple of years, I've been blessed to do a Harvard, a week at Harvard with like the teachers. And I never wanted to go back to school, but like these teachers make me want to come on time and be there all day because they're so excited, but they have so much passion about it. And that's how I am about STEM because this stuff is fun. Like, and also I'm not boring, right? Like I have an
Yeah.
Iron Man helmet. I bought an Iron Man
Yeah.
helmet, so I do STEM projects and like an actual Iron Man helmet where I talk to Jarvis and I'll like open the mask and Jarvis will open the mask, right?
Nice.
Last night I built drones and so I'm charging them up right now, excited to go outside and see how they operate. But kids want to work with drones. They want to do
Yeah.
traffic lights, Bluetooth speakers, dissect sheep hearts and all kind of stuff. They don't want to just look at science on a piece of paper, right?
Right.
We did wrong by consistently handing kids textbooks when we should be handing them lab coats. And that's the thing. We really have to change how we look at it because we again the adults making the decision for kids on our agendas when it should be the other way around. And we should also understand like this is our future, right? So if we're developing our future now, instead of talking about workforce development when they're a senior in college and they don't want to
Right.
do the job you want them to do, your workforce was K to
Exactly.
12. And
Exactly.
so it's all the things that I said to make sure that people really understand. Like it's important to do this early and then continue down the process to ensure that we're building an innovation pipeline versus a school to prison pipeline.
Yeah, and as a science educator, you're speaking to so many themes and so many things that I think about on a daily basis. How am I, you know, making my students about more curious about the world around them and what we're learning in class? And I think that that speaks to so many things. That speaks to things such as teacher education and how we're training our future teachers. It
Right.
speaks to things and challenges, even such as classroom management, because
Right.
it's difficult to engage in labs if you don't have good classroom management and you don't, aren't able to control your students in the sense that they can actually actively participate and learn from what you're doing. So I'm in full agreement with you when it comes to we have to expose them early, but I'm also on this passionate path of wanting to and saying what can I do as a science
Hmm.
educator to change the way we do things in the classroom.
Right.
I've never been the type to be afraid of saying let's do this. It's going, telling my neighbors it's going to get loud today.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
going to, so nothing's going on, nobody's dying, but it's going
Right.
to be loud today because we're doing this. I've had students in the past who've come up to me um, and said, I remember, and they're adults, I just happen to be out in the
Right.
community and they run up to me, I remember when we did this in class. Yes, I remember
Yeah.
too. And those are the type of things that as a science educator, I want to leave with my students and
Right.
even do just connecting them to the real world. So, out at night, making videos of what's going on in space and they're like,
Right.
and I'm like, and if you go outside and they're looking at me like this lady, but just those things because you're right. It's us adults, right? It's us adults in the lives that we live and the things that, we've experienced or not experienced that kind of squashes that in children. And I hate that. I
Right.
hate that. I want them to be like, well, why does that happen?
Right.
And what's going on? And I know what that's like too, being that curious kid and being told, girl, go sit down somewhere. You asking too many
Right.
questions.
Right.
Um, but now that I'm older, I definitely understand that. And I want that for them because they are our future.
Right.
They are the ones. I always say, I said, if I'm in the operating table when I look up, I'm gonna go, oh my gosh, or I'm gonna be excited. Which one is it gonna
Right.
be? I
Right.
like to tease my
That's
kids.
that's exactly it. I tell parents all the time, as you walk down the street, this kid is either going to say good morning, good afternoon, or whatever greeting, or you're going to be
Hmm.
scared, right?
Yeah.
Were they taught how to properly engage people, or are they on
Yeah.
the other path? It's really that simple. And so when we think about how we engage students and how we truly are preparing them for the future, we have to take a step back and look at education. Just how you were saying, prepare for classroom management, because yeah, you want to do all this stuff, but is it safe? Did I make sure
Yeah.
everybody have their goggles and sanitizer or whatever? And then you talked about one of your students. I used to coach basketball at a school here, and this kid was like the shortest kid, right? But he had heart and he worked hard, and I
Yeah.
had an extra spot. So I could either cut him and then he just not do anything all year or have him develop with us. And so I kept him and he played for me ninth grade and 10th grade. He didn't play varsity, but he loved basketball so much and he started studying how to jump, the science of jumping.
Mhm.
So he then became, they have these guys who are just like dunkers. They go around the country on tour and they're doing all these crazy dunks. But I mean, this
Oh,
kid, he's got
wow.
to be like 5'6", 5'7". The stuff that he's doing is insane.
Like a
And I
Spud Webb type?
yeah, but like beyond
Okay.
that, right? Like
Okay.
really
Okay.
doing all kinds of stuff. Like he could
Good.
win a dunk competition, seriously.
Wow.
And I follow him all the time, and I'm always like, "Oh, you're doing great," and things like that. And then yesterday, he sent me like a picture of him and his family, and just saying thank you for believing in me and all kind of stuff. And I think that's what when people talk about legacy, like that's what it's about. It's not about like me getting another award or doing another article or anything like that. It's really making sure that hey, I took a chance on him because I saw something in him. Now, did I know all this as time? No, but I know he was a good kid and he wouldn't mess up the flow of practice, right? And he learned and he played, but then, hey, his love for basketball continued, and that sparked something in him to understand the science of jumping. And now he's doing what he loves to do, which is still basketball, right? And so, what I try to tell a lot of kids too is that you don't always have to like play the sport to be involved in the sport,
Right.
right? There's commentators. Bob Costas will say this famous commentator, like I introduced, he was interviewing Alonzo Mourning. Alonzo Mourning, I think, is like 6'10", 6'11". And I think he asked like Bob, what did he want to be? And Bob said, I wanted to be a basketball player in the NBA. But I was short. But Bob
Yeah.
said once I went into commentating, I interviewed all the greatest athletes through all sports, right? And so I try to tell kids you could be a trainer for the team, you could
Yeah.
be a part of the fan experience, which is all STEM. You can be in basketball ops, you can be in player development, basketball analytics. There's just so many things that you can do to stay within the sport without being an actual player, and just trying to get them to understand that there's more than just this part that you see. And I was blessed to be exposed to that early just because of like traveling and the different people I met and talked to. And so again, that's we just try to continue to expose them to things that they're not thinking about because maybe their environment is not allowing them to think about it.
Yeah, and really quickly, it's just something to speak to something what you said. There's something to be said, like you were saying about the other things. There's something to be said too about exposing students to various STEM careers. You
Right,
know, when they'll say I want to be a doctor. There's other things,
right,
and so I think that's also part of the work that we do is that letting them know that there are these other opportunities out there for
right,
you, and that's okay. Not everybody's going to be a doctor. That's okay.
right,
Not everybody's going to be a nurse. You may do something else in some other capacity, and guess what? That's okay because we need you in that capacity, and you may do well at that. And
right,
so just letting those students know and letting children know, hey, the only option is not a doctor. Um, I would really prefer you to go be a research scientist. That would be something for you to seriously consider, because we need those as well. But I want to delve into your different business ventures and
right.
nonprofits. And so in 2011, you launched Dibia Athletic. In 2014, you got Dibia Dream and subsequently Science. Tell us a little bit about your various organizations and what motivates and inspires you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so I again have been blessed to meet some amazing people. So my
Yeah.
senior year in college, I was doing a basketball camp. So you could do basketball camp, they'll pay you, and while you're trying to figure out different things. And so each week I was winning with this kid named Julian. Julian and I, every time he would come to camp for 6 weeks, somehow he was on my team. We would win the championship. Or one time we lost, but I mean, we lost by like two or something. So we won. Um, and then at the end of the camp, his mom was like, "Hey, why don't you train Julian?" And I was like, "Train him in what?" And they're like, "Train him in basketball, and I'll give you a price, and I'll recommend you to different people, and you could build a
Mhm.
business." And I was like, "That, I mean, that sounds great, but like, do people actually pay for this?" And so from 2005 to like 2011, when I was working for like big corporate like Deloitte and stuff, I really didn't have time to only do this on the weekends. So it
Mhm.
was a hobby, just put extra money in my pocket. And then 2011, I was working for the University of Miami, and I was just like, hey, I'm just going to take this on full time. And so I just started training kids. But I figured that, hey, if I'm only doing 10 kids on the weekend, if I actually just did this all day or mapped out events or stuff, like I
Mhm.
could build this into something. And so that's what we did. And so I just started training a bunch of kids. And then the first year, I was like, hey, I don't want to just be a local company. I want to be global. My college roommate was from Bermuda. I would go to Bermuda for 2 weeks anyway. So I was like, hey, the second week, we're going to do a basketball camp. And so our first camp was in Miami of July 2012. And then the second week was in Bermuda. And so, but we would always scholarship kids to our camp, right? And so we scholarship kids to our camp. Then I met someone with the school system. So then we were scholarship kids to college. This is still under the for-profit. Then we did a toy drive under the for-profit. And then we started to scholarship kids on a trip. So there are a lot of nonprofit activities happening under for-profit. Oh, then we did a free camp I'm from New Orleans, so we did a free camp for New Orleans. And so when we started Dream, Dream was around the same time that they took away arts recess, woodshop, PE, and some other core classes, electives, and things like that from students in Miami. And so I was already doing all on under Dibia Athletic. We were doing Super Saturdays with Leadership Academy with the 100 Black Men in South Florida, and that was like free for the kids. So all of that, I was like, hey, we already have programming. Let's just put it on this side. But we need, in case kids don't come on a Saturday or something like that, we need like core programming. And so we started with Dream Academy, which is after school programming every day. So that's a big, again, this is like a big God idea, right? You were just going to do Saturdays and they probably cost you, I don't know, maybe 1,000. You're now doing every day after school at one site for 50 kids, probably 3,000 a kid. We're in a big budget now. Like we got to raise this money and figure this thing out. And so that just started. It worked well. We went to another site. It worked well. And then we just kept growing. And so then we turned Super Saturdays into STEM Saturdays. We took the scholarship from Dibia Athletic, and now it's Dream Scholars, where we send kids to college. Then we did the free summer camp, turned it into the Spark Summer Institute on the nonprofit side. And then now we have something called STEM Avengers, where we engage with high school students that are engaged in STEM, give them STEM pathways. And they go into Dream Explorers, where we send them on a leadership experience similar to you. Primarily, we were doing Africa first, but this year they're going to Portugal to engage other kids in STEM.
Right.
So all of that kind of grew, and then we started expanding. So we were in Miami, then we expanded to New Orleans, then we expanded to Atlanta, then we expanded to Memphis. Now we have 7 sites in Bermuda. We're talking with different places to expand to like Jamaica. We're starting LA hopefully in the next couple of months.
Nice.
We have 2 new sites in Atlanta now. I'm really excited about
Wow.
that.
Okay.
And so like after school sites, because we were doing Saturdays and now like we were looking for a new after school site.
Yeah.
And so now we have 2. So really excited about that. And so in the pandemic, um, we were ordering a bunch of kits because I just had this idea like, well, no, I didn't have this idea. Everybody said you should do STEM on Zoom. And at the time, this was like at the beginning of the pandemic. So I was like, what is Zoom? I don't know what Zoom is. So we took time to really understand Zoom. We brought in like a production company. And so when we did our STEM Saturday, it looked like a show. It started with a countdown, and then we just went in and it was this whole program with animations, all kind of stuff. But we were ordering all these kits. We did a beta test with like 20 of the kids in Miami. They
Okay.
kept sending it to other people in other places. And so we started sending kits out from 20 to 400 kits a month to that's how we expanded to 32 states and 12 countries virtually, some in person.
Right.
And so, but during that time when we were ordering these large quantities of STEM kits, they were coming with broken parts. Some
Mm-hmm.
major STEM companies were only doing subscription. And so I was like, I don't want the kit you sent me. I wanted the kits the kids are going to like. And then some were just boring, and then the instructions weren't representative of everybody. And so God sat me down again and said, "Hey, man, you could just start making some STEM kits." And so I had this whole idea and put it all in place, and I couldn't come up with a name. And so I had
Mm-hmm.
put science in Google and other languages before, and I didn't see this. One day I was in Atlanta and I was visiting one of my friends, and I put, I need a name for this company. So I put science in other languages, and I just kept scrolling like a bunch of different languages. And then I got to the Kinyarwanda language in Rwanda, and it was
Mm.
just science. And I don't know if you've seen like Social Network when like Mark Zuckerberg hit the button and launched Facebook, and it was like,
Yeah.
soon as I like looked at that, it was like, boom, you got it. And
Yeah.
so we just started going. We have some really great team members. My daughter Elle, she's our chief product tester, so she gets to test all the kits. If this sucks, we won't go with that. The kit she likes, that's the kits we come out with. And so it's great to do that with her. And then also that's how the opportunity of Discovery Education came around. And so I would do STEM videos in my house. I would build STEM kits, do all this, weird stuff. I would edit the videos. I bring my dog in for comedic relief, all kind of stuff. And I'd post them online just trying to, I was bored. So I was like, look, I got time. And one of my friends from Discovery Education was like, hey, I want you to host this hands-on STEM show. And I was like, who,
Mm-hmm.
me? And she was like, yeah, I want you to be the Black Bill Nye the Science Guy. And I was like, okay, let's do it. But earlier when I was shooting the videos, I had saw Emily's Wonder Lab on Netflix, and I was like, oh, it would be great if I had a STEM show, and just never thought about it. And then it happened, and so we started small, like doing. I think our first project was like kinetic energy and stuff like that, but like real using household materials. And then I asked, like, hey, can I take this up a notch? And then we just started like the videos when you see from the beginning, I was outside doing a solar oven to
Uh-huh.
like doing rockets. We did the egg drop challenge, but outside my building, there was a guy with these excavators and they were going up and down. And I was like, hey, can I go up and launch an egg from here and do all this stuff? And they're like, look,
Yeah.
man, you got 5 minutes. Go ahead and do it. I said, oh, okay. So we took the film crew out there. We're doing all this stuff.
Hmm.
But that's the cool thing about science, right? It's not just
Right.
in this box. I can go and tell somebody, hey, I want to do this for some kids, and they're going to say yes, right? And so kids
Right.
can do it as well. Kids do not do anything I try without supervision, but they can try these things. And so that's everything that I've started was with a God yes, and
Mm.
I just took it from there, and that's just how they just came about, and it's not like, oh, I have these ideas and they're just great. No, like they come from a divine source, and then the path is laid out for me to do my like 0.1% part. Like if I
Right.
ever get
Right.
to doing 1% where God is only doing 99 and I'm doing 1%, I'm gonna be unstoppable. But I'm doing
Right.
just point one right now, and that's working. And so just trying to make sure that we can just really build some cool pathways for kids through each business, right? If they're able
Yeah.
to go online and discovery education, see a black man in STEM that they might not have seen before, if they can come to a STEM Saturday at like Miami Marlins Park and do chemical clocks instead of think about baseball here. If they can do a basketball camp in Bermuda, these are opportunities where kids can have a great time. And so that's what we're just trying to do, change that experience for kids.
Yeah. I'm just I don't I'm just sitting here just thinking as I'm listening to you thinking, okay, Kim, God has been telling you some things too. Get out your own
Yeah.
way, right? Get out the
Yes.
way. Um, and
Yes.
just go with it, right? Because I always say that imposter syndrome is a real thing, right? And so just listening to you thinking, yeah, Kim, get out the way. He's telling you what to do. Just do
Right.
it, right? And just step out on that faith to do it, and you'll be okay.
Ryan
Um,
Coogler just did I just like before we jumped on, Ryan Coogler was talking about imposter syndrome, right? And he
mm,
was like, every time I get on set, I'm just like, wow, am I supposed to be here? But he's like, hey, I'm here now. It's time to do the work, right? Because
right.
okay, this is Ryan Coogler. Like he just
Like
keeps getting
Ryan
better.
Hoover, like
Right. And it
exactly.
and it happens with everybody because sometimes you get into this space and you're just like, wow, like I'm here and you kind of freeze up. But again, some of it's preparation. Like you've done the work. That's why you got here. You're not here by accident. Now here, make sure this propels you to the next for us. Like we said, we're going to do STEM in stadiums. So doing it in the first stadium we did was Miami Marlins. So, okay, making sure that this will take us to Hard Rock Stadium, to the Florida Panthers Arena, to Memphis Grizzlies Arena, to Miami Heat Arena, to the Sphere in Vegas, to an F1 track, right? Like every
Right,
time you get in there, it's time to show up and show out. And I think that that's important. That he's telling you what to do for a reason.
right,
Every time that you keep saying no, it's only because of you, right? It's
right,
not that you
right.
cannot do it. Anything literally can be done if you just, put one step forward.
Yeah, and I just keep thinking also speak those things that be not as though they were. Listening to you, what you're saying, also that actively speaking out
Right.
and putting it out there. Like
Right.
you're saying, you want to do something in the sphere. I said, yep. Just a
Yeah.
few more questions for you. I'm seriously, I'm all for that. I want to see the little smiley face in the morning, like I see online. Um,
Hmm. Yes.
I want to see that. Like it's looking at you.
Like I've imagined
But
already, like our logo going across. I'm
yes,
really talking to F1 and hopefully like our logo goes across, F1 logo goes across, or I
yeah,
do it with the aces. I'm just putting it out there already because I think
yeah,
that in there, one of my friends went and saw, I don't remember who they saw, but they sent me pictures. I was like, where are you? Like, who has these big screens? Like, where are you? And they were like, we're in
hmm,
the sphere. I was like, that's why I want to do it. Because I've never actually seen the inside. I just seen the outside.
right,
I was
right,
like,
right.
I want to do it there because then kids will see this on the screen, understand how the screen works, all the cool stuff we'll do inside. Like it's gonna be pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, that's I'm excited. I'm excited for you, and I'm believing for you for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know you want to reach students. What advice would you give parents who maybe don't feel well
Oh
equipped
yeah.
or feel that they're unprepared to support their students, and their students is excited and they want to do some STEM stuff?
Yeah, I mean, they weren't prepared for anything that they're doing. So just jump in, you
That part
know?
right there.
I mean, a lot of kids, a lot of parents will post online like, I'll let my kid do anything but slime. But then they'll see me and my daughter doing slime, but I've put down like plastic and she has on clothes she may not wear again, and I may wrap
Right.
her hair. And then she's in a space where it can't get anywhere else. And then we're just in there throwing slime everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Or most of the stuff that you're going to do with science comes with instructions. So slow down, read the instructions, make it fun, play some. My daughter has a playlist I curated on Apple Tunes called L on the Beat. Her music is playing the whole time. And so it's like the experience is made, right? We're gonna have fun in
Right.
education today and then go from there. Or take her outside. For her kindergarten class, I did rockets and some of the
Mm,
kids couldn't come. But then all of the kids who were there got to take their rocket home and with instructions like, hey, if you have a bike pump and water, you can launch rockets all day. And
right.
the messages in this group chat that I look at sometimes, because there's a lot of messages, every parent was like, man, this was so exciting. I'm out here launching this because it's easy. And then you're learning with your child. Both of you have no idea. All right. So let's
Right.
experience this new experience together versus I have to look like the expert. Like I tell Elle all the time, I know a lot about a little, but I don't know
Yep.
everything. And then there's times where she'll be doing the project and she was like, yeah, we should just do it like this. And I was like, yeah, we should
Yeah.
just do it like that versus how I'm thinking, right? Because I'm limited by everything I've been through in society and whatever. Children have that unlimited imagination that they
Yeah.
just, oh yeah, you can do it this way, and nothing's been told no to them yet.
Hmm.
And so
Right.
we got to keep them from that happening. And I think that that's the thing. Like parents, just jump out the window with your kids, enjoy the experience, like have fun, buy a kit that you like, and then
Yes.
maybe you build it or have them build a certain part of it and then they play with it, right? Like if a parent buys a Bluetooth speaker, you can now go to a beach or pool or wherever, you have a functional Bluetooth speaker for 30 or $40 that normally costs $200 that you can control from your phone. Like it's the exact same. I think, do I have a speaker
Yeah.
around? No, but I have the drone and stuff. But it works, right? And you get to
Yeah.
design it, you can paint it. And so there's no um don't limit yourself with your kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I like that. You don't have to know everything. Just have fun.
Right. Right.
Just have
Right.
fun. And I know we spoke about this a little bit, but how do you, or what would you suggest to educators and how they can better prepare students for careers that might not even exist yet?
Take them to, oh, well, careers that don't exist.
Or just even STEM careers in general, just
Well,
how can we better as educators engage our students?
yeah, bring those. But I'd say our tagline, or one of our taglines, is a classroom without walls. And so let's say you want to talk about space, find an astronaut close to you and ask them to come to the school. Or do the lesson when they're free. Like, astronauts are obviously busy. So, hey, I can come August 3rd. Okay, August 3rd is when we'll talk about space. Or if you want to talk about chemical reactions or being a solar engineer, whatever, find somebody in that space and have them come and talk to the kids and then do a project related to that. Have it for the whole school.
Right.
Or take them outside of the class, find your PTA or somebody to sponsor, and then go to some of the cool science stuff that's happening within your city. There's like a cool thing called the Kids Lab, where they will do in this one area. It started in New York. It's in Miami now. I think it's in Houston and Atlanta. And so basically, you come in, there's a DJ, the kids get lab coats, and they do all these cool science projects. But it's like a party. It's like a science party, right?
Okay.
That's fun. Or take them to laser tag and then talk about the science behind laser tag. Or take them
Mhm.
instead of going to, for like us, we have Rapids Water Park. So instead of it being a fun water park field trip, no, we're going to talk about how buoyancy and the science behind how all these structures are built and things like that, and then go play in the pool, right? So we had a science day because all this is science, but we didn't have to make it so structured. We went outside and we built a garden. And now,
Mhm.
what we do in the summer is we build a garden at our different sites, and then our STEM professionals then cook meals from that. Kids have a dinner, we talk about it, all kind of stuff.
Nice.
So it's so many things that we do normally um, that we can just change. Like for instance, we're about to do one with the Apple Store. Apple Store does um, workshops for kids and coding, all kind of different things, or for people. And so if you just talk to
Mm.
them, say, hey, I'm gonna bring 20 of my kids, we're gonna come do it on this day. Okay, fine, at this time, you now taking the Apple store that everybody wants to go to and just look at phones to a
Right.
science experiment, right? And so we have to start thinking about all of the things that we do normally different and how we can say, okay, down the street, there is this. Okay, let's do it. Or take them to the library. Kids don't even know about the
Yep.
Dewey Decimal System and any of that stuff, right? Like teach them about
Yeah.
that. And get out of the classroom. Teachers, get out
Yeah.
of the classroom because we know you're bored. And because you're bored, you're teaching a certain way. That's never a knock on a teacher. And also, too, teachers are strapped by budgets
Yeah.
and school boards that may say no, 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 no. Well, you can say yes by doing these different things. And a huge thing that's happening right now, and I'm pretty sure you might have seen, is that people of means are building their own schools, and their own
Yes.
schools are all STEM schools. And there's a
Yep.
reason for that. There is a reason why they are saying, hey, we're going to build our schools and do it this way. And so, teachers, I just find organizations like ours if you want to help any of those locations, and bring your ideas and then just make it happen for the kids.
Yeah. And I always encourage teachers, if you can't go out, try to bring someone in.
Hmm.
You don't always have to be the expert yourself. And sometimes when students see that, there's someone who actually studies this, they may be a little more inclined to pay attention. That may spark their curiosity a
Yeah.
little bit more. So yeah, bring somebody in if you can. I know NASA does things, a
Massive.
lot of
Yep.
things where they, like where they have their different astronauts and folks talk to students. So I'm on board. My final question is, I think, if a young person is listening to this episode and they're unsure of whether or not they belong in STEM, what would you say to them?
I would say it's really not about being unsure. You're in STEM. You can't get out of STEM. STEM is in everything. You have a phone or some device that is all STEM. You like something, i.e., like iTunes, and you like a music group, and all of that is done through STEM, right?
Hmm.
You like anything that you like has STEM in it. It's not about
Yeah,
finding the STEM, to be quite honest. It's already there. So you're already in it. It's just if you want to see it in a very cool way and be exposed to that and experience it that way, or you want to experience it in a boring way, right? And so I just tell kids to like take some time and find what you want. Because there's some kids, like we were doing a Saturday program with a bunch of different things in the morning and then sports in the evening, like it's tutoring, breakfast, homework, STEM, and then sports. And this kid,
yeah.
he just wanted to do sports every day. So the last one of the Saturdays, he was like, Coach, if I finish all this other stuff, can I just do basketball for the rest of the time? I said, look, man, if you finish all your stuff early, you could do basketball to your heart desires, right? He had wore me down by then. That day we did Rockets, and he never touched a basketball that day because he just kept launching rockets. We
Mm,
found some people say you open the door, you continue with the spark that's already there. Sometimes you just got to
yeah,
find what that is. But then also too, sitting him down saying like, you know how you shoot the ball, the trajectory of the ball and all that other stuff. That's all science. How you dribble the ball, friction,
right,
and how you move on the court, energy and everything. And then having him see that on a screen, like this is how your body moves. Then they start to understand it. So it's how we
right,
present it to them and then how
exactly,
they learn it will be, oh, okay, everything around me is science. Now, what cool science am I going to get into today? Am I going to be the person who comes up with the technology for SpaceX for the rocket to go up and actually come down how it is? Like I actually met the guy, a black guy,
oh
um,
wow,
who came up with that, right? Or am I going to, you know, help build one of the fastest race cars for any one of the race teams? Like, because now you'll see all of F1, they'll constantly post like we have these
mm,
internships, right? And so, one of our sponsors, IWC, who makes some amazing watches. They'll always post online, like they'll put I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's like the eyeglass for the iWatch. And then they'll go in with these really, really small tools. All of that is science, all of
yeah,
that. And
Yeah.
so it's like, hey, you can make watches, like some really great watches, or you can, there's just too many things that you can do for you not to want to be involved at the level
Yeah.
that you want to be involved in. And so I think it's, kids continue with that curiosity, and life is filled with opportunities, not entitlements. Just keep taking the opportunities that's coming towards you, and enjoy the experience.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Take it as it comes and enjoy it.
Yeah,
Brandon, I cannot thank you enough. Um, I know that if I have been inspired by listening to you and your story, I know our listeners will as well. So, how can they connect with you?
sure. On Instagram, I'm at Okpalobi, Okpalobi, at Dibia Athletic, Dibia Athletic. At Dibia Dream, Dibia Dream, at Siyanse Explore, Siyanse. That's, contact us on Instagram and we'll follow up. And just, if there's an opportunity for you to come and volunteer, mentor, sponsor a child for some stuff, I think that you will not only be fulfilled from the experience, you will also, people always say like be the person you needed when you were a kid. You will become that. You will see that your experiences
Yeah.
will help craft a safety net for someone else, right? Like, hey, you don't have to go down the path that I went through. You can just do this, be happy, and do this and escape these pitfalls.
Yes.
Versus like, oh, I hear this a lot, like, oh, I got it out the mud. Like that's great if people want to continue to do that. That's not my focus. My focus is to make sure that these kids have great experiences and understand that um, you have these opportunities in front of you,
Yep.
right? But then also too, this person has a story to tell. Like when we do STEM Saturdays in hospitals, like some people say doctors aren't the most friendly or whatever, but when you put a heart and they can tell you about all of the heart and all of the things that they do,
Yeah.
the doctor lights up, the kids light up,
Yeah.
everything changes. And so, we just have to find our pathway and really make sure that we're not putting that spark out for kids. We're continuing to feed it.
Yeah. All right, so folks, you heard him. You heard how you can connect with him. Please make sure you reach out, connect, and if you want to get involved, please do so. I'm telling you, it is a worthwhile experience, having experienced it for myself. You will walk away feeling like I have some hope in the future. And you'll be like and you'll feel so good about yourself. It feels so good that there are young creative minds out there, and you played a little part in helping them to be better people.
Yeah.
And so that's a wrap for this episode of the Perspectives in STEM podcast. A huge thank you again to you, Brandon, for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
yes, I can't, I'm going to go listen again and again. If this conversation sparked something in you, please do me a favor, subscribe, share it with a teacher, a student, a STEM professional who needs to hear it, and leave us a comment. And also be sure to share and subscribe to our podcast for future inspirational, just like this one, inspirational episodes. So remember, every child deserves a chance to explore STEM. If you'd like to be a part of that mission, please visit us at teachstemglobal.org to learn more, volunteer, or donate. I'm Dr. Kimberly West. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep building a brighter future because truly it's STEM for all. Thank you again, Brandon.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.